So this video is really about the behind the scenes making of some of the videos I've tried and really just about me learning to be better as I mess up constantly and try to make something that's watchable. So a lot of it's still experimenting, and I don't want to waste a lot of film and takes and then find out that I did something horrible with the lighting or the sound. So in this case, I'm actually playing with two different angles, two different cameras. I'm trying with a speaker on the phone, and then I'm also trying with the speaker on the GoPro and just trying to get a feel for what's better, what works, what doesn't work, because it's all a learning experience. Like, you can go online, you can watch YouTube videos, but you don't really know until you try it for yourself. And I can honestly say I've learned far more in my life by screwing up than watching others or listening to what they say. Once I screw up, I kind of know I've screwed up, and I try not to do it again.
Alrighty, so we're testing out some new experiments here.
Again, a little bit of progress. I noticed early that I had done something that I would have been annoyed at. That little crack would have just drove me nuts.
Welcome, everyone. So, I'm testing out some new experiments. So, one of the things I thought I would do is as I go on this new journey and I create this new YouTube channel and explore more social media, I thought, you know what? There might be some other people out there that are thinking of doing the same thing, thinking of starting a YouTube channel. And not only should I start creating this content, maybe I should start ducking a little bit of the in behind scenes of that content. So right now, I'm actually going to film a little thing on my love for the Toronto Maple Leafs, which, let's be honest, I'm a homer. I like all my Toronto sports teams. And Doug Gilmour was a huge inspiration to why I like the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm actually just going to make a video about why I blame Doug Gilmour for all my pain for the last 30 years. As he's the one that made me like the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's been a lot of heartache. And I feel for all the towns and all the cities out there that have teams that just break your heart over and over. So whenever it comes to the Super Bowl or any event that maybe my team's not in, I always choose for the team that comes from the city that loses the most. And this is going to be the first opportunity where, again, I'm doing a little bit of behind the scenes. I'm going to try two different camera angles. I'm going to try with a mic, without the mic, and I'm going to do it all at the exact same time just in order to get a feel. I don't know what I'm going to like. I don't know what I'm not going to like until I do it. I've already learned some lessons as I've been going along. I definitely have learned my lighting needs work. I did get a ring recently to help with the lighting. I do have to work on the shadows because I definitely have some shadows behind, but I'm in an old house and my lighting isn't the greatest, so I can't just film. And as I'm in the learning process, I have no idea why, but this is the first time I've tried to film on my cell phone as well as use the GoPro, and the GoPro decided to just randomly stop. Unfortunately, I can't really film going on my phone and trying to figure out what's wrong with the GoPro just because it's the same device that I would be using at the exact same time. So I did lose a little bit of footage there, but basically what I was saying is as I'm learning in this process and there's different mistakes that I've learned already that I've made, and I'm going to continue to try to work on some of those mistakes. That being said, some of those failures are just part of the process. So I'm looking at it as I'm still going to put out some of those videos that I maybe don't love some of the quality or the different things in which I did in it, or the angles, again, the lighting. Again, I was just talking about the lighting prior to having the issue with my GoPro. Working on that because, again, dark house doesn't really show, and the time of season it is right now, I'd love to go outside and just walk and maybe do a little bit of a video and just talking and stuff like that, but it's also getting darker outside and it's been overcast and rainy the last couple of weeks, so not the best time to do any of this outside.
So after I finished explaining, obviously, about the GoPro stopping and resetting, I did start to use both cameras again, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to show the second angle. And some clips I'll watch of people on YouTube, I think it does do a really good job when you change angles and you keep it fresh and keep it moving. I also kind of think you need the right room, the right atmosphere for it, and as I kind of sit back and watch this, I kind of realize that, you know, maybe this setting isn't the best one. Maybe when I'm outside, hopefully the new camera that I'm getting will also help with that because it'll change it hopefully more naturally and save editing time and stuff like that. Even though, I've seen some reviews saying that it's a steep learning curve for that camera, but we shall learn in time. But I thought it would be a good opportunity to show a little bit of the secondary angle and also the mic on the cell phone with the attachment versus just the GoPro's audio. So it gives you a little bit of transition from one to the other. And if you didn't really notice much of a transition, that's even better. I do think the front angle was much better, so we shall transition back to that.
And as I'm in the learning process, I have no idea why, but this is the first time I've tried to film on my cell phone as well as use the GoPro, and the GoPro decided to just randomly stop.
And even with just watching that little clip one more time, but this time from the front angle and with a GoPro with no additional speakers hooked up, you can tell that the sound is better. It is clearer. The colors are brighter than, say, the iPhone. Even with the microphone hooked up, the sound just seems better on this one. And you can tell that even though I don't want to keep everything out of the straightaway and I'd like to move around a little bit, in my setting right now, there, I'm not set up in order to kind of try to play around with angles. Hopefully, when I get the new camera and I can do a little bit more stuff, say outside, it'll be better for keeping it fresh and multiple angles and stuff like that. But I think I need to know the type of video that I'm going to make and use those angles and those shots strategically. And if I'm just talking about a band or a concert or something like that, and I kind of want to have, like, say, the Guns N' Roses background instead of, a tree or something just random outside, that, I might be better off with a straight angle.
I did break down, I did get a light. I also, it's Black Friday, and I may have broke down and got a pretty cool camera that I'm going to experiment with. It's one of the 360s. So again, when that comes, I'm going to do an unboxing of that. Not again trying to turn this channel into an unboxing, but again, as I'm learning this whole process of making the videos and experimenting, I might as well document all the steps and all the things that go into it, because there might be someone out there that is in the same stage as I am that is curious about it. And again, who knows where this channel goes? And throwing a whole bunch of different things out there probably isn't the greatest idea, because you're not going to get a stable market of people watching those videos. But I do kind of hope maybe I get a bit of a stable market as far as people just curious what I'm up to, and try to include people in the different stages of my life and in the different stages. And maybe that can be captivating. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's boring. But if it is, I'm going to have some pretty cool videos, hopefully, by the time I get old and get dementia and I can't remember my own name. I do have a little bit of a sarcastic sense of humor, and I'm also very good at joking at my own expense. So anyone that's new to the channel, don't worry when I make jokes about my own expense or getting dementia or whatever, because I joke about myself. I'm a Generation X. We all made fun of ourselves when we were kids. And if you weren't making fun of yourselves, your friends were making fun of you. So you might as well join in on it, because it was going to happen. So the best way to get through those types of days was to have a sense of humor and laugh. So I can definitely laugh at my own expense. And again, if nobody watches this video and I get to watch it again when I'm 80 years old and be like, hey, that's kind of neat. Hey, it still serves a purpose. I also got my little companion Nova hanging out at my feet, which is my cat. He likes he likes being around. He doesn't like to necessarily be right up in your face all the time, but he always likes to be within arm's reach or a couple of feet away, just to hang out and be with you and stuff like that. And he's a pretty sweet cat. I'll let him be right now because he's enjoying, but he would be the orange cat that I have in some of my intros. I also have Astra, which is the tabby, and I definitely am a big animal person, and I love animals. I grew up on a farm, and I think that is one of the greatest upbringings possible. I do not have animals anymore as far as cows or horses on this farm. My parents do on their farm. I'm on the original homestead, but the city's getting really close to where I am right now, so there's kind of no point in having animals. Plus, it's a little more dangerous because if they ever got out onto the road is really busy. And city people nowadays, they don't know how to react to animals and around animals just due to the fact that they're not used to, cows. And, most farmers will know from time to time, might only be once a year, but the cows will, break an electric fence or something will happen or someone will leave a fence open or a gate open and it doesn't take long for an animal to get out and disaster could happen. So no more animals around here except for obviously cats and my fish and just random little animals like that. But that being said, growing up on a farm is one of the greatest experiences anyone can possibly have, and it teaches you to appreciate animals and it teaches you to appreciate life and also hard work and the beauty that goes into that. And also, like, there's something magical, especially in the summer back in the day, out baling hay, and you're throwing square bales up into the wagon, and you look back and you have a beautiful sunset. It's one of the most spectacular things you can absolutely imagine. So growing up in that kind of environment is spectacular. It is a little sad that it's gone, but at the exact same time, I still get to go help on my parents' farm from time to time, which gets me a little bit of that feeling back, and I still enjoy doing the work. It's work, but I do refer to a lot of work as playtime and toys, so to speak, because when I get to use the tractors and get to go out and do different things, yeah, you're working and it's hard in a lot of cases, but I do enjoy playing with my toys. Right, baby? Anyhows, so what we come here for, Doug Gilmour. How Doug Gilmour absolutely ruined part of my life. I blame Doug. It's all Doug's fault. If Doug wasn't so amazing, I probably wouldn't have fallen in love with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Doug Gilmour happened to join the Leafs the year after I decided I was going to start watching some hockey. The year before he came to the team, I watched some games here and there because at school my friends were starting to talk a lot more about hockey. I had a lot of friends that were into the Penguins because they were really good at the time, and Mario Lemieux obviously was absolutely amazing. And another friend loved Calgary, and the Calgary Flames had just come off a Stanley Cup recently, and I'm a homer, and I could see Toronto games on TV, so I started watching some Toronto Maple Leaf games, and they were good. Watched a game here and there, started to understand the sport, understand the game, but then it happened. Doug Gilmour got traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and when that happened, I became a fanatic. I had to watch every game that I could. And between him and Felix Potvin coming out of nowhere and becoming a great goaltender and kicking Grant Fuhr out of the net, and all of a sudden, they had this great defensive core, and Doug Gilmour would come in and like save the day and do something heroic. And he was on a point per game pace throughout the whole playoffs, and it was just incredible. And little did I know it was going to come to an end. There'd be no Stanley Cup, and other guys would come and go. Matt Sundin, lots of losing, lots of winning, but losing in the playoffs. And then more and more sad, depressing years. I don't want to talk about the Brian Burke years. They were so bad and so depressing, and that team was just disgusting. Yeah, sometimes they'd get in the playoffs, but they just weren't a fun team to watch. And now we got this big, exciting team. We have so much talent, and yet we lose every year in the first round. Yes, we made it to the second round once. Woo. But none of this pain would be felt as deep if it wasn't for Doug Gilmour. That's why I blame Doug Gilmour for making me fall in love with this team and making me watch years and years of gut-wrenching torture as my Toronto Maple Leafs blow it and suck in the playoffs. And it wouldn't have happened if Doug Gilmour wasn't so amazing and made me love this team. I blame you, Doug Gilmour, and I bet you there's lots of fans out there and lots of cities that have an athlete just like you that needs to stand up and take ownership for what you did to us by making us love you and love the team. And the team continued to suck for so many years after and not win the big prize. Anyways, a little bit of behind the scenes as I shot this video. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I'll use any of this content. I don't know if any of it's good, but I am trying to practice. I'm trying to also get better at speaking and looking at the camera. One of the things I've realized early on, especially with the GoPro, I was looking down, mostly because I had my phone in a different spot, and I could see the video from time to time, so I was looking at a bad location. So one of the things I'm trying to work on is eye contact with the GoPro. Who knows if I succeeded or not until I sit back and watch it. I would like to do some outside videos of just walking without looking straight into it, and it's just more side shots and more just different angles and practice on things. But these are all things that I'm learning, and I'm gonna work on the different tools in which I have. I do want to do this as efficiently and cost effectively as I can, because again, this is probably just going to be videos for myself. Even though I'm going to put them online, I'll probably be the only one that really cares about my videos. So don't really want to spend a ton of money on this, but I do want to make sure I get better at lighting, better at eye contact, and just not embarrass myself, so to speak, on some of this. Yeah, and we'll just see where it goes. Anyways, peace out.
So at this point, I'm sitting here watching back for the very first time what I did and the difference in the lighting that I tried, a little bit of difference in the position. And again, I'm trying to assess as a non experienced person at YouTube as far as making this style of videos, the progress and the things I still need to work on. Definitely still want to work a little bit more on the lighting, but I'm throwing this clip in from the very first video I did where I didn't use light ring, and I used some industrial lights in the background, and you can see the flickering in the background. And you can also see in the positioning I had and put myself, you can see some shadows and some different things in the background and the foreground that aren't exactly the greatest. Not that the new angle is better, but I do like it more. Um, that being said, I still have a lot to kind of work on and edit. I do need to get much better at transitions at the end of what I'm saying in different scenes, I kind of almost exhale, like, hey, I got through it too quickly, and it doesn't allow me in editing much time to kind of let it rest. I'm kind of more cutting off the ends of the video. So these are all definitely things I can see that I need to improve on right off the bat from this video and each and every time I do one. And I know it's a little bit different kind of going through and showing multiple different stages of a video, which I did in this, but I thought I would actually show it how it is. For the most part, I did one take all of that. There was two cuts that I kind of cut out a little bit where I just totally muffed up, and I did slice that out. But I kind of thought I would show going from beginning to end and show the learning process and what I'm kind of doing. And I will probably change some of these different things. But in my mind, when I started doing this, I was kind of creating at least two videos, and I ended up going into kind of a third video topic. Originally, I was kind of setting up this as far as I want to talk a little bit about behind the scenes, and I kind of thought that at the beginning I was doing that. And then I kind of went into a rant because of the cat sitting at my feet about loving animals and loving the farm. And that kind of in itself is kind of a short. And then I got to the entire point of the entire video, which was the Doug Gilmour. I'm not overly happy with not showing quite enough emotion into the story. I am pretty good in person at showing a lot of emotion and showing a lot of story, and I kind of felt I blew that within it. I don't know if I'll reshoot it or maybe just keep going and try to redo it down the road when I get better skills. But right now it's a start. So we'll take it from there and we'll keep trying to learn. So while I was doing this, it occurred to me I had another Doug Gilmour story. So I thought I wouldn't waste the opportunity and I would try to salvage a little bit of the material that I had just done that I wasn't necessarily the happy with, especially the Doug Gilmour story. I actually liked how some of the other things turned out, including explaining the process of what I was thinking and kind of the making of video. I'm kind of happy how that turned out, but I just didn't really like my Doug Gilmour story at all. And especially one of the cuts that I just wasn't able to smooth out. I decided to film this.
Well, hello there. Anyhow, I'm editing a little video that I kind of made joking about the fact that Doug Gilmour ruined my life because he made me fall in love with the Maple Leafs, which led me to a lot of years of heartache. And as I was doing this, I was thinking about a story where I actually almost kind of met Doug Gilmour, but I didn't. So I was managing a store and we were talking the day before this event happened about famous people that we had met. And I talked about some of the ones I had met. And one of the ladies said that, hey, Doug Gilmour lives close. Occasionally he comes in. And Doug Gilmour is obviously one of my childhood heroes. And, I was like, wow, that'd be incredible. Anyhow, the very next day, this gentleman walks in and he looks so much like Doug Gilmour. And I'm thinking to myself, it can't be because what's the coincidence? I was talking about him the day before with someone and then he just walks in. And I kind of feel like he knew that I knew who he was. But I wasn't 100% positive because, again, my childhood memories of him is when he was young. And this is like 30 years later. So I tried to do a quick little Google and I just punched in on my phone because I could see his tattoo on his arm. And I was like, I'm sure that's Doug Gilmour. If I can quickly Google his tattoo and see what tattoo he has, then I'd be a little more comfortable going up to him and introducing myself and just, telling him, I appreciated everything he did as a Maple Leaf. And anyways, I Googled Doug Gilmour tattoo, and it came up with a ton of guys that had pictures of Doug Gilmour tattooed on their body. So I didn't get quite what I was hoping for. And I'm pretty sure he knew that I knew, but I wasn't 100%. And he kind of gave a little bit of a look and a pause as he walked out of the building. And later on that day, I was talking to this young girl that worked for me, and she's like, "Oh, well, why didn't you just go to his wife's Instagram and look at her pictures?" I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, you did it wrong. You should have gone to his wife's Instagram. Look at her pictures. She'll have pictures without him, uh, or I should say, with him without a shirt, or in t-shirts." And I'm like, I never thought of that. So immediately, I actually went to his Instagram and found him, and I'm like, sure enough, it was the same tattoo, and it was him. And on one hand, I was kind of looking at this young 16-year-old girl that was working for me, and kind of thinking, wow, you're a mastermind at spying. And at the same time, I was kind of like scared and impressed all at the exact same time how good she was at snooping out who these people were. And I was in awe that I needed to work on my stalking abilities because I failed that day, and I got shown up by a young lady. And I also missed an opportunity to maybe get a picture with Doug Gilmour, which kind of sucks, but you also don't want to bother the customers. But that would have been really neat to have gotten a picture with him at that time.
So again, this video is just about the learning that I've taken from this day, and I quite liked that take that I just did. Again, learning a little bit about the microphone. There was a couple times where it faded in and out a little bit, so I do need to be a little more mindful of maybe the angle of the microphone on my shirt to make sure that it catches what I say properly. So that was all basically the beginning to the end of that stretch of video that I was doing. Also, on this day, I was doing a little bit of a baseball video for my other web page. So that's what the clip is from behind. But I think I learned a lot today. I don't know if it'll make for the greatest videos, but I think I learned a fair bit, and that's the goal. So I'll see you on the next one.